Hello there. Today on the I'm Gonna Try to Sound Enthusiastic Says podcast, we'll be discussing the question, where is all the enthusiasm? I will also be sharing a couple of things that I have really been enjoying recently, trying out the YouTube AI DreamScape green screen background thingy, and a whole bunch of other stuff too, so if that sounds fun, stick around! I want to start with a question, and this is a sincere question, and I am hoping to get some actual responses. Where has all of the enthusiasm gone? Is this something that only I am realizing or noticing? Is it just a figment of my imagination? Or has there been a severe decrease in enthusiasm, passion, earnestness, sincerity, excitement, interest, intensity? It seems as though all of that has been decreasing and lacking. And now a lot of people fall into the category of disinterest, sarcasm, nonchalance, condescension, and a lot of just general hatred and disdain for what's going on in the world, whether it's a positive or a negative thing. Is it just me that has noticed that? That everybody is slowly becoming Randall Graves, where I hate everything and everything is stupid to me? It seems as though that's the route we're going down, and it kinda bums me out. Or perhaps none of this is real and it's all just imagined based on the type of video that I watch, the type of podcast I listen to, and all of the nonsense that the algorithms are feeding me. That is why I am posing the question to you. Is this something you have noticed, that a lot of people have seemed to develop a lack of enthusiasm and general passion about stuff in the world? That a lot of people are now becoming overwhelmingly negative? I hope that's not the case. And if you have any theories on why that is the case, if it is the case, I would love to hear them. Is it just so many people are struggling that they don't have the energy or the capacity to care about anything other than, I need to pay my bills, I need to get to work, I need to escape? Is that taking over so many people's lives from day to day that they don't have the energy or the capacity or the time to become passionate about anything? And I will admit, I am part of the problem. It would be wrong of me to just point the finger when I know I too am part of the problem. If you watch my reviews of microphones 8-9 years ago, I was much more excitable. I came across much more passionate, screaming and ranting and raving. That was partially because I was hopped up on 2 to 3 energy drinks a day. Nowadays, I'm just an old man. My body can't handle that. So that's part of the problem. But also, once you are doing the same test for the 700th time, you just aren't as excited about it. It can still be fun. It can still be very interesting, which is why I still make those videos. But I'm not going to put on a front and pretend the 700th time doing the exact same test is as exciting as the very first iteration of that test, where you're first starting to get that data and understand different characteristics of mics. So I know I am part of the problem, and I understand doing iteration upon iteration of the same thing, you do come across much less excitable and passionate and enthusiastic. But is this something that you have noticed? And if you have noticed this, what do you think the cause is? Because I want this, I miss the passion and excitement of 2010, 2011, 2015 internet, where technology was still exciting to everybody. New things were coming out and everybody was so interested in what the new features would be and how you might be able to utilize that new feature to improve your life. Now it's, oh cool, a new feature. How is this one gonna spy on me? Maybe that's it. Maybe we just understand the real motivation of every new innovation coming out. That's going to be used against me. Maybe that's it, and maybe I've just cracked the code. We're all paranoid, but it's not paranoia if they're actually watching you. So that's my question to you. Where has all the enthusiasm gone? Is it actually gone? And if it is gone, why? I don't want to just complain because that is boring and that's useless. So I want to offer a couple of things that I have found over the last week or two that I have really been enjoying, and hopefully this brings a bit of joy, a bit of light into your life. Number one is an old performance from a musical. I am not a musical lover, which is weird because I love music. I make music. It is one of my biggest passions. But musicals never really clicked for me. But I came across Allison Smith, one of the original Annies, singing It's a Hard Knock Life. I'm going to throw the link to this performance in the episode notes and description. Go watch it. It's 2 minutes long. I think over the last 2 weeks, I have probably watched it 50 times because it is so good. And I will admit, I have never seen Annie, but this performance in particular works so well because, number one, the song is incredible. The chord progression it's fine, but the melody is... It's one of the best I have ever heard. The melody is so dang good. The lyrics are fine as well, a bit corny, but it's a musical. You expect them to be corny. But what truly sells this is the emotion behind Allison Smith, and one of the comments captured it perfectly. She sings like it's the audience that put her in that orphanage. I don't think I have ever heard a song sung with such anger and vitriol. She was so angry and bitter at the audience for putting her in that orphanage. And just watch it, just listen to it. You can hear the emotion in her voice. That's something that I don't hear too often now. Everything is so polished and perfect, and there's a lack of emotion. So that's the first thing that I have truly been enjoying over the last couple of weeks. And like I said, I have listened to it probably 50 times. And I don't even care about or like musicals. Second is a book, but mainly a short story. Call of Cthulhu by H.P. Lovecraft. This is something that I had never read up until a week ago. And I loved every single sentence of that short story. I don't know how I've avoided H.P. Lovecraft for so long, but the thing that worked well for me is, first off, I love that late 1900s, early 20th century kind of mythology and mystery surrounding the ocean, the monsters that may lie within, when in reality, all these shipwrecks, all of these deaths were just because the chaos of nature, the chaos of the ocean. But people didn't understand that, so they attributed a lot of these horrific experiences or events to sea monsters. I don't know what it is. I love that stuff. And a lot of Call of Cthulhu is surrounding the ocean. But also, I love the idea of cosmic horror. This idea that there are gods and beings so large and so old that they could wipe out humanity, wipe out existence, and it wouldn't cross their minds. They wouldn't consider it an evil act, a positive act. It would just be something that happened. And that is truly horrifying, thinking that something might exist that doesn't have the same thought process regarding ethics as we do. A lot of times when we think about, or at least when I think about aliens, I attribute the idea of ethics to them. Would they wipe us out because that would be a bad thing to do, or would they not do it because it's a bad thing to do? How would they approach that? But what if they don't have that thought process at all? And what if those beings are so large and so monstrous that they do it without any thought? That is just such a wild concept and truly horrifying. Kind of like an asteroid. There's no ethics, there's no morals there. It will wipe you out. That's how it goes. And that is horrifying. And Lovecraft captures that so well in Call of Cthulhu. I also read Dunwich Horror. Didn't love that one as much, but I understand why it was compiled in a compendium, a collection of short stories surrounding Cthulhu and the mythology therein. Why did I say it that way? Therein. But I loved it so much. It was so good, and I cannot wait to read the next couple of short stories in that book. If you haven't read it, read Call of Cthulhu. It is so good. How have I not read it before? I have read a lot of books over the last couple of years. After I finish reading them, I don't think about them. I have thought about that story weeks after I read it. It continues to just bury in there. It's burrowing into my head. It wasn't actually horrifying or scary, but just the idea of that has stuck with me, and just throughout the days, it will just pop back into my head and I'll start thinking about it, and that is so rad. Highly recommend Call of Cthulhu. And number 3 is a podcast. It is called Are You Garbage? As though they need any more promotion because they're incredibly successful. But I will throw a link to a video podcast in the episode notes and description if you want to check it out. There are about 1 billion trillion comedy podcasts. There are 1 trillion gazillion interview podcasts, and most of them are very samey. A lot of them are repetitive, redundant. I'm not going to say unnecessary, but I don't feel a need to listen to most of them because when you've heard one of them, you've heard most of them. The Are You Garbage podcast, though, it is an interview show, but they approach it in a very different way. They don't say, hey, what's your process for writing a joke? Hey, what was it like working on this movie? They ask stuff like, did you drive a Dodge Neon? When you went out for supper with your family, was Applebee's a high-class establishment? Was that the cream of the crop? What kind of sodas did you drink growing up? Did they smoke in the car? When your family went on vacation, if they could afford it, where did you go? Was your pool above ground or in ground? Silly questions like that. And it leads to a lot of very comedic moments, but I find it to be very effective in learning more about the individual. And maybe it's because the individual being interviewed is caught off guard because they are being asked questions they have never been asked before, but it also gives you insight into how they grew up. And it's not going to be some kind of canned, prepared answer because nobody prepares for, did you drive it? I drove a Dodge Stratus. They don't ever think, that's a reference one person will get. I drive a Dodge Stratus. Nobody thinks, when I go to be interviewed, I'm going to be asked if I eat my steak well done at Applebee's. Nobody prepares for that. So if you want some funny, interesting interviews, the Are You Garbage podcast is something that I've really been enjoying the last couple of weeks. That is it for what I have been passionate about over the past weeks or so. Now I want to try something that I haven't tried before. I was going through the YouTube Studio app and they were recommending stuff to me, and they recommended DreamScape AI. What this tool allows you to do is on your phone record a short. It will green screen your background out and replace it with an AI generated image, and that can be a still or a video. I wanted to see how that worked, how effective it was. So here is how you do that, and then an example of the final product, just because this was fun. All right, so in order to use this YouTube green screen DreamScape AI thing, you just go into the regular YouTube app, hit the create button, go to shorts, then you will click the effects icon on the right-hand side of the screen, select green screen, and then it gives you a prompt to create your background. For this example, I typed YouTube monster eating a pizza, monster, not monster, and then you can use a static image or create a video. I opted to create a video because people have low attention spans, so you need dynamic stuff all of the time. It takes a little bit of time to create that video, which is what I am showing. And then you get that final result of a YouTube monster eating pizza. And then you record your short and your background is green screened. You can point to the video. Neat. And then you can post it. And I will include the final version right here. Hey, I just asked YouTube AI to create a YouTube monster eating pizza, and this is what it gave me. I don't know about you, but that's pretty cool. And now I'm hungry. So, yep. That's it. Bye. Wow, very cool pass, Bandrew. Thank you so much. Now let's talk about what I have been testing, and say it with me. I am on the Noone U87 AI, but what I have been testing is what I am running it into. It is the Lewitt Connect 2. Their tiny little baby audio interface compared to the Connect 6. I'm going to grab the box. It is over here. It is a tiny little desktop interface, a lot more compact, and one big improvement over the Connect 6 is the fact they have a high Z instrument input, and let that sink in. Amazing. I love it. I recorded a test song running into that. Had fun doing that. Always have fun doing that. And this also has the clip guard feature, which is one of my favorite features on any audio interface. It essentially means you cannot distort, even if I scream into the microphone. I should stop doing that. It's not going to clip. It's a limiter, essentially, which I love. It also has a few different EQ settings. It has a denoise, which is more of a gate, not the most effective. The compression is fine. I found it to be pretty aggressive. If you have your gain set a little bit hot, this is how it sounds without compression. If I turn on compression, I'm only getting a tiny bit of gain reduction occasionally. But if I set my gain higher, which is what you actually heard when I was doing the voiceover about the AI software thing, I had my gain set higher, the compression on, and it was very aggressive. But that is what you are listening to. I am on the clean setting, which is a neutral EQ. I guess I'll give you a quick sample of the different EQ settings. This is clean or flat. This is warm. This is going to roll off some of those higher frequencies and give you a bit of a bump in the lower end. And then we have vivid. This is vivid, which gives you a 4 dB bump. 4 dB high shelf. I can't remember where it starts, but it's a very aggressive high shelf. And now we are back on clean. There you go. Really just a utilitarian interface. It does what you need it to do and nothing more. Would I personally love access to adjust all of the processing? Sure. But I am fine with not having any of that. Just it's an idiot-proof interface, clean, compression, record. I love that. So there you go. That's what I have been testing. And now let's talk about what you had to say. I am in a very weird mood today. So forgive me if I come across like a lunatic. Because I am. Because I've lost my mind. My mind is gone. I don't know what's happening. What are we doing? What you had to say. First comment comes from Dan D. Durgis. He says, YouTube Premium Lite is rolling out soon. When I saw it, I immediately thought, uh-oh, even more ads are coming. There's always a trade-off. Enjoy the video. Dan, thank you very much for the comment, and thank you very much for the heads up on YouTube Premium Lite. Let's discuss YouTube Premium Lite. I will throw 2 links in the episode notes and description, the blog post announcing it, and an article discussing the features. This was announced a week or so ago, and we're going to discuss the differences between YouTube Premium and YouTube Premium Lite. Excuse me. I swear I was not getting emotional over YouTube Premium Lite. All right, anyway, Premium costs $14. You get YouTube videos ad-free, you get music and music videos ad-free, and you get downloads and background play. While Premium Lite is $8 a month, and you get most videos ad-free, being gaming, fashion, beauty, news, and more. Music and music videos are not ad-free, and you do not get downloads or background play. And I also want to note this is not available everywhere in the world right now. Currently, this is rolling out in the United States, Australia, Germany, and Thailand. And if you click one of the links, they will put a link to sign up whenever it's available. Now, what are my thoughts on this? I think it's perfectly fine to offer a more affordable tier for YouTube Premium. I think this is indicative of the economy and the disposable income that people have. I am assuming YouTube has either seen a decrease in the amount of people subscribing to YouTube Premium at the new $14 a month tier, or maybe they've seen a decrease in signups. And I think it's fine to try to meet the consumers where at a price point that they are comfortable paying. I am very curious what they mean by most videos will be ad-free though. Gaming, fashion, beauty, news, and more. That leaves a lot of categories where there could still be ads. And that would be a terrible experience. It's why I don't like any of these the Netflix, the Hulus, or anything like that. You're paying for a premium service, and then they are continuing to show you ads. I find that so annoying, which is why I won't subscribe to any of them. So we will have to wait and see what kind of ad-free experience you get with Premium Lite. I am hoping they are giving you pretty much everything ad-free. And the only thing that you would not be getting ad-free, I believe they said, is shorts, YouTube music videos, and then on the browse page, the search and browse page. I don't think that means the videos you get would have ads, but on the search and browse page, you may get ads interspersed with videos, sponsored videos or whatever. So I think that's what it's going to look like, but I personally rely really heavy on background play. I don't really use downloads, but I also listen to a lot of music on YouTube, so that is important for me to have ad-free on that, because that's really how I discover a lot of new music. YouTube's algorithm, it has a lot of flaws, and it has been providing me a lot of not great videos. But the music side of things, I have found a lot of new stuff that I've enjoyed over the last 5 or 6 years through YouTube. So having YouTube music videos be ad-free is really important to me. So I am going to stick at $14 a month, even though it used to be $10. I sure do miss that. What is that, $48 more a year? God, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of damage. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. Is this something that you will be signing up for? Is this something that you think is a ripoff? What are your thoughts here? Next, we have a comment from Lydia, aka @typicalbooks. She says, all the more reason for people to have YouTube Premium. I dislike mid-rolls too, but I do place them so they are not automatically placed. Now we have less control over that. I hope you can send your thoughts into the partner program Overlord since you have the best case for them not placing ads in a quiet spot. I've often done just as you describe. Crank the volume to hear the noise in the silence sample. No way do I want random people in my community tab. It is bad enough policing comments, especially comments that are sexist. It's just more work for creators and kind of unfair. I hope we can turn this off. Apologies for the previous film recommendation. With the popularity of Terrifier, I often forget many people don't watch really gory horror all of the time. For Valentine's Day, we watched Trailer Park of Terror, so there's that. But I would have recommended The Loved Ones for Valentine's for sure. These are a bit more tame for sure, but still pretty out there. Lydia, thank you very much for the comment, and thank you for sharing your thoughts on YouTube Premium, the automatic ad placement, and the community tab. I agree with you wholeheartedly on the automatic ad placement. I am not a fan of it. I have mid-roll shut off on podcastage, and that will remain the case. And I, too, do not want random people's comments associated with my channel via the community tab. I think that is silly. As far as your prior film recommendation, which was Grotesque, a Japanese horror film, I'm not saying the film was grotesque, although it was. The title is grotesque. It was a very disturbing movie, but I am no slouch in regards to watching disturbing movies. I brought out a couple that I own on physical media. I don't know why I own these. Necromantic. You can imagine what that is about. Horrible. Solo, or 120 Days of Sodom. Yup, it's as disgusting as you would imagine. A Serbian film. Don't watch it. Do not watch it. Irreversible or Irreversible. This has one of the most difficult to watch scenes that I have ever seen in any movie ever. It's a rough one. We have Martyrs, the original French film. Why not? Again, certain very disturbing things. Cannibal Holocaust. Nothing more to say than the title. And Speed 2, Cruise Control. Now, this is kind of a reference to Henrique Khan because on his podcast, they talked about Speed 2 Cruise Control. I own it on physical media. I unironically love it. I love this movie so much. I shouldn't be admitting this. Of all of these movies I have shown you that I own, which are disgusting, disturbing, violent, gory, repulsive, I am most embarrassed to admit that I own and enjoy Speed 2 Cruise Control. You know, I've never paid attention to this before, but while looking at the Speed 2 Cruise Control cover, it says Siskel and Ebert gave it 2 thumbs up. Who's a sucker now? I am in line with some of the most prolific and famous film critics of all time. I agree, Siskel and Ebert. 2 thumbs up. Speed 2 Cruise Control. Why did I pronounce that weird? Regardless of all of that being said, you do not need to apologize for recommending the film Grotesque as irredeemable, as irredeemable as it may be. It was still an experience. Such an experience that I have lost my ability to speak English, and I'm just mumbling now. But I always enjoy seeing a movie that is challenging, and that movie was quite challenging. There are very few qualities about that movie that I enjoyed, but it was still an experience. I got through it, and the reason that I give for loving horror movies in general is it gives me perspective. My day job may be stressful. I may have bad days. Oh gosh, I had to work 12 hours today. But then when I watch a movie like Grotesque, or Cannibal Holocaust, or Speed 2 Cruise Control, it reminds me, at least Willem Dafoe is not trying to blow up the ship that I'm on. At least I'm not trapped in a cage as they eat turtle. and they didn't make him watch it, but that was a very disturbing scene because it was actual animal cruelty, and I guess not animal would it be? We're not going to go down that. We're going to that was, regardless of what you want to classify it as, Cannibal Holocaust has some very disturbing scenes. Anyway, keeps things in perspective. At least Michael Myers is not chasing me down a street or walking very slowly down a street after me. At least when I go to sleep, Freddy Krueger is not going to pull me into his world and murder me. So things are looking pretty good. Gungala Galunga. On your deathbed, you shall have eternal consciousness. So I got that going for me, which is nice. Like I said, Jeez Louise. This is a weird episode. I apologize for all of this. That is it for what you had to say. Now we're just going to move on and jump into the value for value section because this is a V for V podcast. What that means, I do not put ads on this show. I do not put this show behind a paywall. I put the show out there, and you get to decide the value that you got out of it. Was it a cup of coffee? Was it, shut up, phone? Let me go ahead and turn this off. Was it equivalent to seeing a movie in a theater? Was it equivalent to nothing? Any of those are fine options, and if you get any value, I just ask you return it or share it with a friend. Share the show with a friend who may get some benefit out of it. Even though this is more of a relaxed, chill, not content creator focused show this week. But we have a couple of V for V submissions. First one and second one coming from Incredibly Handsome, aka Enrique, and he says, $2. For me, any trip under 10 hours is a good drive. Over 12 is where it gets really tiresome. I do these kinds of drives a lot. Philly is a hellscape to drive through, but once you get used to it, it's kind of fun. Enrique, thank you very much for the $2 I really do appreciate it. And reading through that, I am starting to understand why you do a podcast with an absolute psychopath who also likes Speed 2 cruise control, but also drives with ice on his car. And there was some other horrific characteristic that your co-host had today, and I can't remember what it was. Not today. I wasn't watching the show today. I watched it over the last couple of weeks. But there was another trait that he had that was just horrific. And you're sitting next to a potential serial killer. Be careful. But you like driving in Philly. Story checks out. You like living dangerously. I get it. Secondly, we have another $5 from Enrique, and he says, Adobe's AI audio is a godsend for the rare times I have a guest on my podcast who is just using their laptop mic, or one time even a Blue Yeti that was set totally wrong. When it's used for a video where a person is far from the camera, it looks weird and disembodied because our brains can't handle the proximity sounding close. Enrique, thank you very much for the $5 as well. I really appreciate the support this week. And you hit the nail right on the head. This is something that Alan from Sound Speeds continuously harps on. If the sound matches the visuals, you get a bit of a pass. It can sound roomy. It can sound reverberant if the visuals indicate the audio ought to sound distant and reverberant. But if the visuals show that it should sound distant and reverberant, but it is completely dead sounding, that's a giveaway that it's either ADR or you use something funny like Adobe Podcast AI and it sounds unnatural, and there's this mismatch between brain and mouth and tongue and speaking, but are what we see and what we hear. So having that matchup is absolutely essential, especially for that narrative storytelling. I think for podcasts, you can get away with it, but it does still kind of throw you off if you're looking at something that should have a bunch of background noise, have a bunch of reverb, and sound really distant. But then you just hear something really close mic'd sounding like this. That's just weird. So, 100% agree with you, and you are hitting on something that SoundSpeeds constantly harps on as well. And lastly, we have €50 from, you guessed it, say it with me, TechMed, Rainer Richter, and he says, Danke, I want to empower you to enjoy yourself wearing a Canadian tuxedo. I think beginning of spring would be perfect for this, but now, dear Bandrew, take your time off. We'll be all back when you are. Raina, thank you so much for the €50. Thank you for the support in my hopes, my dreams, my goals to one day wear a Canadian tuxedo. And thank you for the kind words regarding taking a break and just recuperating and getting my mind right, because I was thinking why I need to take the time off, why I struggle to make review videos when I have been a bit busier, a lot busier than I had been. It's because when I am in my day job, I have to be extremely analytical. And then when I'm done 10 hours in, I don't want to analyze another thing if my life depends on it. I just want to shut my brain off. If I was just doing something like writing a piece of music, no problem. But because with review videos, I do need to be a bit more analytical, 10 hours of analyzing stuff a day, there's no more juice left. I'm done. I'm cooked. I'm kaput. Stick a fork in me. I am done. So I've realized that when I am having those longer days at the office, it's a lot more of a struggle to get home and then spend another 2 to 3 hours recording, editing, and analyzing stuff. And once you've spent 10 hours staring at a computer screen, do you really want to spend another 3? Very few people do. But thank you very much, Raina, and thank you very much, Enrique, for the support this week. If you enjoy this show being ad-free, it is thanks to the wonderful support of Raina, Richter, and Enrique, aka at Incredibly Handsome, who has a very fun movie podcast on his channel. And the last thing we are doing this week it's kind of a tag on to what I did a little bit earlier in the show, because I shared a couple of things that I've loved over the last couple of weeks. But now, my favorite thing of the last week or two was the 4K UHD box set from Umbrella for Terrifier. Terrifier 1, 2, and 3. I love these movies. Terrifier 1 is just gory, gruesome, really getting their legs, finding out how to produce something that is feature length. Terrifier 2, it is incredible what Damien Leone was able to accomplish on such a small budget. I think it was $250,000 he made that movie. It looks like a multi-million-dollar movie to me. It's amazing what they accomplished. Terrifier 3, I have been waiting to re-watch this since I saw it opening weekend in the theater because I missed it over Christmas. Gosh darn it. Really wanted to see that over Christmas. But Terrifier 3 is astounding, amazing. It is my favorite movie so far in this series. The thing that I like most about this is you're able to see the progression of Damien as a filmmaker. The first one is just crazy kills. The second one adds a lot more story to it, but it is really gruesome, over-the-top kills. And then 3, it has really over-the-top kills, additional story, but it's fine-tuned. It's edited down. It is a really tight movie. It just has great pacing. And they had a lot more budget to work with, and they were firing on all cylinders. I think Terrifier 3 is fantastic. And actually, I'm going to go grab something. I should have been wearing them this entire time. 1 second. All right, I have my glasses on, and these are glasses that I got with the box set from Umbrella. I ordered this back in October. and they said, hey, we're going to get it out to you by Christmas. It didn't arrive until late February, so a bit delayed, but I am fine waiting because I got everything that I ordered. I got my glasses, I got my movies, I got Terrifier 3 on VHS because why? I don't know. I have a problem, and it is just a ton of fun. Something else I loved about Terrifier 3 is there are podcasters in it, and the podcasters are very exploitative. They are true crime people. They are insensitive towards people who have gone through trauma. It's very funny. Maybe funny's the wrong word. I'm going to leave it. I don't want to say anything more, but if you do true crime podcast, more power to you. Please just be kind to people if you interview them, and remember they are people. And I just love that aspect of Terrifier 3. Everything is beeping. My phone is going off. My watch is going off. This is baffling. Shut up, everything. All right. That's going to wrap up this week's episode of the BSP. I know this was more chill again, not as content creator, topic focused, heavy or whatever, but just chilling, trying to have some fun. Hopefully you had a good time, enjoyed some of the topics this week, and I appreciate you coming by. I know you could do anything with your time. There's a billion trillion things out there vying for your attention. A million billion YouTube videos uploaded every day. 10,000 million podcasts uploaded every day. So if you choose to spend any amount of time watching or listening to this, I really do appreciate you. Means the world to me. I hope you have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, I will be back talking at you, with you, about you. I love you. Bye-bye. Whoa, whoa, boop.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.